Hello Taurus, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We are looking at all three sides of the connection, so we've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self to ultimately create and attract the relationships that you desire and deserve. As I do in all of my readings, I pulled the overall energy and clarified those messages as well as the overall theme for the reading, which we'll jump into in just a second, but I still have a different tarot deck we'll be using for each side of this connection, as well as the advice deck I'll be using to close out the reading in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember, these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So please do remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, the whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, take what helps, leave what doesn't. All right, Taurus, let's jump on in. On your side of this connection, you have Big Heart with the Knight of Wands here. I feel as if you've really given a lot to this connection in terms of being vulnerable, being open. You know, the Knight of Wands is this energy of risk-taking, you know, opening yourself up to somebody else or, you know, allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And I feel as if there was very much this intention of sharing your heart here in this connection. And I feel like that, I don't want to say got you into trouble, but I do think that sometimes, you know, those with the biggest heart can be more susceptible to getting hurt. Now, that doesn't mean that you did anything wrong, but I do feel as if you did get hurt here, and that whatever connection this is talking about, because this person, they have habits with the Tower here. So I feel like the way that I see this is like they blew this up. Like their habits, something about their habits, self-sabotaging habits, addictions, I don't know, but something about their habits led to this Tower, led to things falling apart. And I feel, regardless of the end result, like I feel through these habits that they had, whatever it was, again, you loved them through it. And you were willing to be there for them. You were willing to help them. You were willing to, care for them through this. But it just feels like they kept making the same mistakes. Like they'd apologize and then there wouldn't be a change. And it just feels like it was the same, or is, if this is a current connection, like the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I feel like that is what I mean by sometimes having a big heart can get you into trouble, because you're willing to see the good in people and be there for them through the times where they're not, showing up as their best self. But then I feel that can take a turn whenever you start doing it at the expense of yourself. And I feel as if that's a little bit of what happened here. Now, the overall theme for this reading is past life. So you and this person, it's like you have history in some way, shape, or form, whether that's literally like past lifetimes or they've been in and out of your life for a while in your current life. I don't know. But when you met this person, there's probably this intense familiarity, like this intense draw to this person. And maybe it made it really easy for you to open up and really easy for you to connect, which is why you were so willing to give so much to it. I have a dog hair on my face. It's itching my nose. But I feel as if the way that things were in the beginning, it's like I don't know if you were fully aware of these habits. But as they started to come out, you tried to love them through it. Eventually, things kind of imploded here. The truth of the connection is shedding with the Three of Swords in reverse. So the shedding energy is kind of to me, an energy of like rebirth, right? Letting go of old habits, old cycles, kind of stepping into your power a little bit. And I feel as if this connection pushed you to do that. It's like this connection, or is pushing you to really step into your power, to be willing to, stand up for yourself, stand up for what you need, making sure that you're not loving somebody else more than you're loving yourself, because it's important that you find that balance. But I feel as if this process has been incredibly painful, because again, I feel like you've given so much to this, but that's just the overall energy. So let's dive in. Let's see what this story is here. This is Taurus' side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. Taurus' side of this connection to the person they are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. The Chariot in reverse. Okay, so this is kind of what I felt. It's like, I don't think things were always like this. Like, there was a period of time in this connection where this person was reciprocating. And then something got in the way. Their habits got in the way. I don't know what this habit is. I feel like we'll clarify this when we dive into their energy. But it hasn't always been like this. In the beginning of the connection, or maybe throughout, it's like there are periods where they show up, where they are there for you, where they're also giving and they're also vulnerable. But then I feel that this Chariot in reverse is this energy of things just coming to like a halt, just coming to a stop. Like they started showing up less and less. They started being less and less present, or prioritizing you or the connection less and less. And it feels like over time, the effort and the reciprocation started to dwindle. And I feel you probably started looking within and going, well, what's wrong with me? Like, what happened? What did I do wrong? But I feel like it's their stuff that got in the way here. Let's get more. But however things are right now, it hasn't always been that way, which I feel is why you have been so willing to kind of like stand by this person and be there for them, because it's like their behavior hasn't always been this way. 10 of Wands in reverse with the 9 of Pentacles. So you kind of have started to take on their burdens, to take on the burden of their like bad habits in some way, shape, or form. Because the 10 of Wands in reverse to me is the need to, or in this context, is the need to drop the burdens of other people, of everyone else around you. Make sure you're only focusing on what like you can control, on what you need to address. And I feel like because you love and care about this person, you want to heal them, you want to fix them, you want to help them through this, but almost to the extent where I feel you became a bit of a crutch for them, almost as if like they stopped handling their own stuff and it was just kind of like, oh, Taurus will fix my problems. It kind of feels like things turned a bit codependent. We haven't seen the Devil. That's typically to me kind of the sign of codependency, of a connection rooted in attachment. But I do feel, when we have a big heart and we care about other people and you're empathetic for what other people are going through, of course you're going to want to help them, right? Of course you're going to want to be there for them. When you love somebody, you want to see them happy, you want to see them healthy. But we have to remember that we can only help other people to the extent that they're willing to help themselves. We can't save or fix anyone. We can support people through helping themselves, but we cannot do it for them. And when we try, we will drain ourselves until we literally have nothing else to give them. And if they haven't been helping themselves and we have nothing else to give, then they're going to feel as if we're not, showing up like we always have, but you're not capable of it anymore. And maybe that's kind of what happened here, was you got to this point where you're like, I cannot bear your burdens anymore. I can't do it. Taurus's side of the connection. I kind of feel as if this person has like two different sides to them. Like, I'm getting Gemini energy in a way, but not, they don't have to be a Gemini, but like there's the side of them that is the light, like they're open and honest and playful and joyful and, you know, willing to be there. And then I feel like there's the side of them that's controlling, that needs control. So they might come off as cold or cruel or distant. And I feel as if it's very difficult for you, because I feel as if you don't know, you're like, well, I really love and care for this version of you whenever you're showing up as, you know, kind of the sun energy when you're coming from that place of light, but it's really hard for me to put up with it when you're coming from this place of coldness. And I feel like you've invested through all of it, but that other side of them has started to really affect you. Because the Seven of Pentacles here to me is like commitment. Like, you've been committed to this. You've committed to this person through the ups and downs and lefts and rights that this connection has taken you. But I feel like, I don't want to say this person isn't as committed, because I haven't pulled energy for them yet, but it feels very one-sided. And I'm not saying like unrequited love or anything like that. I just mean like one-sided in terms of effort and commitment to making this work, and commitment to being there for each other, and commitment to vulnerability and openness and communication and all the things that are required for a healthy connection. But I do feel as if you've been bearing a lot in this connection, Taurus. But let's see what they got going on here. This person's energy toward Taurus, please. Habits with the Tower. This person's energy toward Taurus. Three of Wands. Three of Wands, Knight of Wands in reverse, Six of Swords in reverse. This connection pushes them out of their comfort zone. Makes them face things about themselves that they don't want to face. Now, the Six of Swords in reverse is this energy of this person being stuck in something. Stuck in a habit, a cycle, stuck in self-sabotage. That's what I feel. And it might not be self-sabotage directly related to the connection. I mean, it could be, or just like general self-sabotage that is affecting the connection. So like I said, the first thing that kind of comes to mind is like addiction, or over prioritizing work, or just like not so great habits. That's what I'm gathering. Stuck in self-sabotage. And I feel as if you, like, they don't, it's interesting because I feel like they don't want to have these habits, but at the same time, I also don't feel like they're trying all that hard to fix them. Stuck in self-sabotage. It's like the opposite of the Knight of Wands upright that you have, right? So because that's also a lack of vulnerability. So maybe not being open and, you know, being willing to let you know what's really going on. Like not letting you in. And instead, like self-sabotaging. And you're like, I'm here for you, I'm here for you, I'm here for you. And it's almost like they won't let you be there for them. But I don't know. This person's energy toward Taurus. That is entirely too many cards. Clear, concise messages for this person's energy toward Taurus. Nine of Swords, Three of Pentacles. This person has a lot of insecurity, a lot of anxiety, but I don't feel as if they would ever admit that. Or maybe, like, you can tell, like, you can see it, but yeah, I don't know. It's a lot, and I feel like that insecurity gets very much projected onto you in a way. Like, they are insecure, so they don't want to let you get too close, right? So they don't let you in, and that makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. But in reality, their inability to let you in has to do with the fact that they don't want people to see who they really are. They don't want to unveil that part of themselves. They're the vulnerable part of who they are. Now, the interesting part that I gather from this is I feel like you know. Like, I feel like you see that version of them. I feel like that's why, actually, you've been so willing to put up with so much, because you see through that wall that they put up. Like, you know who they really are, and you love them, and you accept them anyway. So it's interesting because they're like, I don't want to let you in because I have all these insecurities. And remember, 95% of how we interact is actually subconscious. So they're maybe not consciously thinking through this, but it's like they're pushing you away because they feel insecure. They don't want to let you in. But you see through. You see them. You see them for who they are anyway. You love them anyway. But it's almost like they don't know how to believe that. It's like they literally won't let you love them or be there for them in some way. And instead, it's like they choose the self-sabotage route. But you're like, I see you. I see you for who you are. There's no use in hiding. You see straight through them. This person's energy toward Taurus. And that's the interesting part, right? You see straight through them, and that's when they're showing up as the sun. You're like, this is who you really are. But then they start to feel afraid, insecure, nervous, anxious, whatever the case is, and they start to pull back. That's when they come out as that Emperor in reverse energy, the cruel, kind of cold, distant energy. And you're like, you don't have to do that. I already know who you are. There's no use in pushing me away. But I don't know. It's a little bit interesting. Okay, this person's energy toward Taurus. I'm trying to figure out, yeah, it's that way. Ace of Wands with the Five of Swords. I mean, this is very much like, Five of Swords is a very defensive energy, a me against the world. I need to protect myself. I need to, make sure I don't get hurt. And you're showing up with nothing but good intentions. You're like, I don't want to hurt you. I just want to love you. And, the hard part about that is, like, maybe this person has never really fully experienced love in the way that you're providing it. And so it's like they don't believe you. I feel like that's what it comes down to. And there's nothing you can do to prove that to them, because that's their own kind of trauma getting in the way here. But I feel like it's like they are so determined to keep this connection at a distance. And that's their own habits. That's their own self-sabotaging habits. Now, however that manifests is going to be dependent on your situation. It could be addiction. It could just be pushing you away, starting arguments, infidelity, whatever the case might be. And I'm not saying there is infidelity, but I'm just saying however that is manifesting in your connection is going to depend on the situation. But I just feel like the biggest thing to understand is someone who is committed to not letting you in. The more that you try, the harder they're gonna push you away. And that's not saying you shouldn't try, right? But when it starts to affect you, because I feel like with this Three of Swords in reverse here, like, I feel like this has started to really impact you, really hurt you here. Taurus' side of the connection. Taurus's side of this connection. Remember what I just said? I said it feels like it started to be codependent, but I don't see the devil yet. It's exactly what it was. Okay. The devil. Okay. 6 of Pentacles. This is actually 6 of Pentacles in reverse, Knight of Swords in reverse, 5 of Cups. So, connection wasn't always like this, right? That's the hard part. They weren't always distant. They weren't always trying to push you away, because every human being has a desire to be deeply connected. Every human being has a desire to love and be loved. Not every human being has the tools to be able to sustain a healthy love. So on some level, they want the love that you have to give here, right? But on the other level, they're pushing it away. That's the 95%. How 95% of our movements, choices, and decisions stem from our subconscious. Only 5% of the way we interact with our reality is conscious level thinking, right? That's what I just kind of was talking about. So on a conscious level, they're like, yeah, I want to love and be loved. But then subconsciously, they don't think they're deserving. They don't think they're capable. They don't think they can have it, that it's possible, so they push it away. Now, the problem is coming from this place of the devil. The devil is, to me, a connection rooted in this context is a connection rooted in attachment. It's this energy of being so willing to weather the lows of a relationship for the hope of the highs. It's, it's basically making your identity about trying to help, fix, save the other person. And I feel as if there is a little part of you that got very lost, or is in the process of getting very lost in trying to help, fix, save this person. And what you're needing to know is that, again, you can only help other people to the extent they're willing to help themselves, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, kind of thing. And second of all, your worth isn't dependent on your ability. Your worth isn't dependent on this person changing, or this person letting you in, or this person learning to love in a healthy way. Your worth is determined by what you decide it is. But I just feel like, the hard part about the devil energy in a connection is we start attaching to this idea that we need this other person to be something for us. And when they don't become that thing, like when they continue to repeat bad habits, or, they don't show up for us in the way that we deserve or want, we start to look at it as if it's us, as if we're doing something wrong. Now, I'm not saying that you've been perfect. Nobody's perfect, right? But I do feel like you've shown up in the best way you know how, with the best intentions in this connection. And this person is very obviously not reciprocating that. In fact, I feel like they're, kind of coming from this place of pushing away all that you're giving. And that isn't you. That's a result of their past, of their bad habits, of whatever has led to that, right? But if you can't change them, the focus is going to be, well, what can you do? How can you help yourself? How can you make sure that you are protected? Taurus's side of the connection. Yeah, because your focus is on the wrong thing. I feel like your focus is on what they need to do, how they need to change, how their habits need to be different. And here's the thing, you might be right. You might be right. You might be exactly right about what this person needs to do in order to be happy, in order to love well, in order to experience all the things that you want for them. But you can't change them. You can't change anybody. You can't shame people into change. You can't force people to change. You can't love people into changing. There's absolutely no guarantee that what you do is going to make this person change. And the more that we try to force someone to change, especially if we think that, if we're dealing with someone who is kind of not treating us all that well, and we show up just continuing to love and continuing to try to be what they need us to be, but we're accepting mistreatment and, disrespect and cross boundaries, then at that point, you are trying to love somebody else more than you're loving yourself, because you're focused so much on somebody else's bad habits, on somebody else's toxic traits, on somebody else's journey. And this is your journey. This is your journey too. And you are just as deserving of the love that you have to give, but you can't keep trying to force people to change, specifically this person, at the expense of hurting yourself. And I feel like that's kind of what has happened here. Taurus's side of this connection. But this is a little bit of a habit you picked up from childhood here. This connection is very much rooted in a childhood dynamic. Like almost to the extent that this person mirrors a dynamic that you experienced in childhood. Someone pushing you away, someone self-sabotaging instead of showing up for you, whatever the case may be. So this connection brings up a lot of inner childhood wounds for you that are looking to be addressed. So this isn't so much about what they need to do. This is a lot about what this is trying to teach you so that you can step into your power here. So that you can have what it is you're truly deserving of when it comes to love. This person's energy toward Taurus. This person's energy toward Taurus. There it is, right there. The devil. They don't feel deserving of the love you have to provide. That's why they push it away. Devil with the Lovers in reverse. So it's interesting the devil's falling in the same place, because this is definitely there's something about codependency coming through here. And codependency is not going to be a sustainable dynamic in any kind of connection. And it's when one person tends to take on the role of like the savior, of trying to save somebody else. And I feel like what you're needing to understand, and this isn't an easy thing to understand, but somebody else not changing or not loving you in the way you deserve is more of a reflection of them and what's going on within them than it is of you at all. So with that being said, one of the best things that my therapist ever kind of told me was we never want to confuse our expectations of somebody with their capacity to love. So you might have expectations of this person, but they might have a limited capacity. And in your mind, you have these expectations because you know that that's what you're deserving of. And when they show up with their limited capacity, which doesn't meet your expectations, you start to turn around and say, why am I not lovable? Why am I not good enough? Why am I not, deserving of love? And you are. It's just that you're looking for it from someone who has a limited capacity, because this person is like determined to push this away because they don't feel good enough for what you have to give here. And that's on them. That's not on you. All you can do is make sure that you're showing up in the best way that you know how, while also making sure that you're showing up for yourself too. So being able to say, I'm showing up for this and I'm giving this what a healthy relationship requires, but I'm also making sure that I'm protecting myself from mistreatment and disrespect and cross boundaries, because I know that I have to love myself just as much. And I feel like there's a lot of showing up. You've been very much showing up for this person, but not so much for yourself here. And I feel like that's where there's that need to kind of take your power back from this, because this person's behavior doesn't have anything to do with you, with your value, with your worth, with your lovableness, but there's been this energy of taking it very personally. It's a personal connection, so of course you're going to, right? But we can't take other people's capacity to love personally. Because essentially, people can only love us, care for us, be there for us to the extent that they're doing all those things for themselves first. So if you think about it, taking somebody's capacity to love personally is taking their love for them, like the capacity of the love that they have for themselves personally, which is kind of a silly thing to do when you really break it down. It doesn't make it hurt any less. Doesn't mean you can't go through the emotions and the feelings, but what it does mean is you have to let go of the idea that this person changing or dropping these bad habits, that has anything to do with your lovableness or your ability to have what you want and need when it comes to love and relationships. This person does not hold the key for you to be loved in the way that you deserve. You might have given it to them, but they don't inherently hold that key. You can take that back. You can take that power back. You can decide how you get to be loved and set boundaries and stand up for yourself in association with that. It's just, I feel like you've kind of given this person the key to loving you, and when they're not showing up in the way that you expect them to, you're getting more and more hurt throughout this situation. This person's energy toward Taurus. There's so many cards. I just want clear, concise messages. Clear, concise messages for this person's energy toward Taurus. I feel like what that kind of is showing is that this person has a lot going on separate from the connection. And I feel like that's what you're needing to understand is the majority of their actions have nothing to do with you. Their decisions have nothing to do with you. You have to separate. You have to separate their actions from your worth and your value. And you have to be willing, and that's not saying you need to accept how they're showing up and say, okay, well, I guess that means I need to accept the bare minimum. That's not what I'm saying, because unconditional love for somebody else and being able to understand what they're doing and why does not mean you tolerate that behavior. Unconditional love does not equal unconditional tolerance. So you can love them unconditionally, you can have empathy, you can understand them all day long, but you need to direct that unconditional love right back to yourself and making sure that you're not tolerating behavior that is hurting you in the long run. This person is making a lot of decisions in their life that don't serve them. The Hermit, the Two of Wands in reverse, and the Two of Swords. They're making a lot of decisions that don't align with them, like who they really are. And I feel like that's what's so interesting, is I feel like you see right through them, you see who they really are. So when they're making these decisions, these habits, these when they're in these self-sabotaging patterns, it's frustrating for you because I feel like you can kind of see like, this isn't who you are. But I feel like you love this person more than they love themselves. And that's where you're needing to understand that that's the root of where their decisions are coming from, is their lack of self-love and self-acceptance and self-compassion within them, which you can't love somebody into loving themselves. You can support someone into learning to love themselves, but they have to do the work to be able to learn to do that, like the shadow work, the healing, the facing the darkness kind of thing. And I feel like this person is very much doing whatever they can to run from that. This person's energy toward Taurus. This person's energy toward Taurus, please. It's so interesting because I feel like they're breaking their own heart here. See, there it is. That the Queen of Pentacles. So here you are, Taurus, showing up as the Queen of Pentacles, whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. And there's that Ten of Wands in reverse. I feel like they know, and this is where you have to understand that sometimes when we allow people to treat us poorly time and time again, what we think we're doing is loving them with hoping that they change. But what you're actually doing is creating a standard that says, I'm okay with this kind of treatment. And that, I feel like, is what kept happening in this connection is, this person crossed a boundary and you allowed them. So they crossed another boundary and you allowed that. So they kept pushing their limits. They didn't show up and you allowed that. So they didn't show up again. And then you allowed that, And I'm not saying you didn't set boundaries or speak up for yourself, but maybe you didn't, I see all the time people setting empty boundaries in relationships. If you don't change, I'm going to walk away. And then the person doesn't change, the other person doesn't walk away. And, it's just, you're kind of left right back where you started. What we have to understand is we teach people how to treat us. And we teach people how to treat us with what we're willing to accept. And when you're willing to accept less than what you desire and deserve, you think that you're holding on out of hopes that things will change, but what you're actually doing is settling for a dynamic that is less than what you deserve and desire. So making sure that you are aware of this pattern that you have, one of the best things that I've learned is we have to show up in our connections from the beginning saying, this is who I am, this is what I require, and if you can't match that, that's okay. But I'm not going to waste my time and energy trying to get you to be something that you're not willing to be. Because when we get into connections with people, and, I think it was hard in this connection though, because like I said, I don't think this person was always like this. But whenever these things started to come out, I feel like, there was this energy of trying to save this person, trying to fix them, trying to, be there for them. And in that process, I feel like there was this self-abandonment that took place. And that's when I feel the problems really started, is whenever you started saying this person's problems, this person's, what they have going on is more important than what I have going on. And that's when the connection became more about how to be there for them and how to make sure they're okay and how to make sure that they're happy, and, not at all about what you need. And when we abandon ourselves for somebody else, we lose ourselves. We lose ourselves in that connection. And again, you are doing it because you see the good in this person. You see who they could be. You see what this connection could be. You see through that wall that they have up, and you love them anyway. But if they won't let you in, if they won't let you love you, if they won't let you love them, there's nothing that you can do except for making sure that you are taken care of, that you are loved, that you are protected, that you're standing up for yourself, instead of doing what you can to make sure this person feels happy and loved. Because it's important to love other people, of course. It's important to make sure other people feel safe, but not at the expense of us lacking love and us lacking the feeling of safety and security and all the good stuff. Okay, so in between this connection, you have shedding with the 3 of Swords in reverse. I'm going to hop on over to the extended. I have 9 different messages to pull, diving into the deeper truth of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Thank you so much, Taurus, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, Taurus, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Taurus.